Welcome back everybody, DestinysJesus here. In this video, I'm going to be ranking the top 20 Fortnite players based on just this year. So basically just this season in terms of events. There were some events last season that we've been looking at, such as Frosty Frenzy and some of the older duo dream hacks that happened, but mostly focused on the solo cash cups that happened this season, all 7 of them, the 7 trio cash cups that we had as well, all the cross-region tournaments from some of the top players as well will factor in, as well as heavily focused on how well these players performed in the FNCS and also how crucial they were in terms of their team success. If you disagree with how I've rated any of these players, make sure to leave a comment down below. Try not to start arguing each other, but you can disagree and kind of go through your thought process there. And again, I'm going to be doing this based on mostly focus on the individual players, but for some teams I am going to be grouping the players up together to make sure that we do kind of go through them. There's not really too much differential between how those players are looking. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like if you enjoyed. Now, I know this is going to be quite a controversial choice, especially because I had this player so highly rated in first place in my last ranking video from last season, which was the Stark season, after we went back-to-back FNCSs. But I have to put Tayson in 20th place. I really can't rank him higher compared to how many other talented Fortnite players there are that were coming up, and also just the fact that he didn't really have the best season in terms of grand finals. After winning 2 FNCSs back-to-back, they only got 8th place in grand finals, still a really good achievement, but compared to Tayson's previous standard, that really isn't up to scratch. He had some issues on the day with Surge, with iDrop and Mr. Savage, and also the trio cash cups this season were really good. They got 5th and a bunch of top 10s as well. There wasn't really any standout performances, no first place, no even second places as well there. The one thing that Tayson did really well this season, and that kind of steps him that extra pedestal up compared to iDrop and Savage, is just the fact that he did so well in cash cups. He got 5th and 4th in the solo cash cup on NA East, so he plays like 130 ping on NA East, and he did really well in all the other events that happened this season as well, in terms of just all the different dream hacks that happened as well, and also all the cash cups as I mentioned earlier. And also this trio had, I'm pretty sure, the highest average placement in all the FNCS qualifier weeks because they played all 3 weeks as well. In our 19th spot has to go to Canada. I would put Macwood and Bucky in the same category as him, but for me, Canada was an extra step above this season. He played a really important role in how well his trio did in grand finals, where they got 3rd place, and also he placed a lot more compared to his trio. In the duo dream hack that actually happened, he played with Dave for one of the events, and he got 2nd place on NA West, which is an absolutely insane achievement. Aside from that, he had really good results with his trio, and I would put his trio in like a top 30 list for sure, and I probably would group them all up. But just to put Canada in on his own little mention here, he has to be in this 19th slot. In our 19th slot has to go to Andalux from France. He's the only French player on this list, and it's for good reason. I would put his trio with Snazy and Xweez in here grouped up, but Andalux did have a solo cash cup win this season, and he also plays a really crucial role in his trio, where he's RGLing, he's calling the majority of the shots, and he did such a good job where they actually won a cash cup this season. They also won the Solo Predator Cup, which is actually a pretty stacked tournament if you guys hadn't heard about it, and they also got 4th in grand finals, a massive comeback on day 2, where I think they were in 1st by like a good margin just based on day 2, and they had such a good performance to bring their placement back up. Now on our 17th spot has to go to Reason. This guy had an absolutely insane season, culminating in the 3rd place grand finals with a really unique W King strategy. He also got 3rd in the solo cash cup, loads of other placement with the trio cash cups with Video and No Rally, where they basically run around fighting every single player that they see. And also compared to his teammates, he actually had 2 really good duo results with Janice. He got 2nd in the DreamHack Duos December, and he also got 2nd in the Logitech G Cup, which is kind of a stacked EU Cup that happens once every few months. Aside from that, Reason just had a really solid season overall, not compared to his teammates, with a little bit better performances, which we'll get into next. Now at number 16, this is a player that I think has always kind of been around that top 30 region in terms of the world. They've always been up for the debate in terms of who is the best at the moment, and obviously the mechanical skill has always been there. But recently for Click, something has just clicked in terms of how good he performs in team modes. I think it's coming from playing with Bizzle, something I've talked about on stream a lot, about how well he just clicked in terms of understanding the game a lot. They got 1st place in one of the Frosty Frenzy sessions, actually started this year. Then he's gone ahead and won DreamHack Duos with Day. That was an absolute insane achievement. Then he also went ahead and got 1st place in NA West Cash Cup with Reet and Wavy, where he was kind of playing the IGL role a little bit. Then they won the 1st week of NA East qualifiers, which was insanely stacked. Then he also went ahead and placed 1st in the Heats. He won a solo cash cup on NA East, and then he got 5th in grand finals to finish a really good year. Overall, I think Clix is probably one of the most informed players at the moment. 4 tournament finishes just this year is absolutely insane, and I could really see him coming into that top 10 region worldwide if he just keeps pushing himself and making sure that he's always playing to the best of his ability. He definitely has the mechanical ability there since the very start of the game. It's more so just a case of how well he performs on the day, which he did in grand finals, getting 5th place, which is probably, I think, his best FNCS placement just yet. In our 15th spot has to go towards No Riley. This guy had an absolutely absolutely insane start of the season. He went ahead and won a Trio Cash Cup, then he won the DreamHack Duos with the Vidal, then he got second place in the next DreamHack Duos Vidal, and again, just loads of continuous strings of really good Cash Cup placements, FNCS placements qualifying the first week, and the third and grand finals with no Riley leading the pack as the IGL. Basically just going ahead and saying, okay guys, let's go fight this team over there, let's go kill them really quickly and we'll get really good loot, really good Storm Surge, and then we'll go ahead and do really well this game. It's pretty much all he does for IGLing, pretty simple stuff, and they got third and grand finals from it. Now Day is the one player that I'd picked from this squad that's really well known from the last FNCS win they had, and also the 4th place finish that they had this FNCS. Compared to Mirror Reverse, Day had an absolutely insane season. He went ahead and won a solo Cash Cup where he absolutely dominated. He was in first the entire time, just W King. He also went ahead and duo DreamHack with Clicks. That was kind of his big pop-off tournament. He also went ahead and placed second in another duo DreamHack on NA West with Canada that we mentioned earlier. And aside from that, loads of just good tournament placements with his team. They qualified the first week as pretty standard, and they got 4th in grand finals. They kind of choked after having a really good lead in day one, but still 4th place is a really good finish compared to a lot of the other teams that qualified for grand finals. It really is hard to argue about Vidal's placement on this list. He had an absolutely ridiculous season in terms of placements. It really does speak for themselves just looking at them on paper here, but as you guys should already know if you've watched any of Vidal's content, any social media, he is literally the best fighter in the world by far at the moment. He's literally insane mechanically, and also every single other thing that he does in terms of how much impact he gets in fights mid-game, how much impact he has end-game when he's probably the best franger in the world at the moment. In my eyes, basically how many impact kills he gets is ridiculous. He does such a good job end-game of just carrying the top, making sure they're playing heights really well when they do play it. They got third in grand finals from that, and also other results this season. As I've already mentioned a few times, they're second place in DreamHack Duos, they're first place in DreamHack Duos with no Riley, his solo Cash Cup win, his second in another Cash Cup as well. Just absolutely insane stuff from these guys. They had such a good season of tournaments overall, and Vidal is probably one of the most informed EU players at the moment. Just quickly, for any of you guys who are wondering, now they're kind of halfway through the list already, is basically just the fact I'm not going to be ranking any of the players from NA West, Brazil, Asia, OC, Middle East, just because I don't know those regions too well, I don't follow them too well. If I was going to have to rank them, which I'll just do now quickly, I'd probably put Epic Will, Rex and Arku in first place combined for NA West. Absolutely insane performance so far this year from them. For Brazil, I'd have to go with the first place trio of Cadu, Sayun and King. King is pretty much dominant pros in the world at the moment. Had a really insane achievement in FNCS getting first place. Loads of other Cash Cup placements as well, as you can see. For Asia, I'd have to go with Q-Jack. His trio as well has done absolutely insane. Nator and Alice, they got first place in Grands. Again, majority of these players I don't follow too well, so I'm just going to be doing the first place teams for each region. OCE, I do know Speedy, Muzz and Luther. All three of those guys probably combined. Jinx as well had an insane year so far, but I probably would just put Speedy in the IGL position of Muzz and Luther. They performed really well under that power squad. Now, Middle East is the last region I'm going to be looking at quickly here. It's just a team that actually got first place in Grands, just Nile, Kuki and Phantom. These guys had a pretty insane day. I think pretty sure I was watching some of the Middle East games and they're playing really well. They had really good average placement as well. That's pretty much all I know about the other regions. I do follow OC a little bit and NA West, but I'll let you get into the rest of this video ranking all the EU and NA East players. Now I know a couple of you guys are going to slightly disagree with how I've done this list based on how many insane solo players that we've covered who have actually gone ahead and done above and beyond compared to their teammates, so I've put them in their own category. But for these next three teams that I'm going to do, I'm going to group them all into the same list and basically put them in 10th, 11th, and the 12th slot at the same time to make them fill up 3 player roles, just because of how well these guys function as a team and the fact there's not really anything distinguishing between them, such as solo placements or maybe some duo placements that some of them got together. So in our 10th, 11th and 12th spot respectively has to be Centered, Edgy and Commandment. These guys are absolutely insane. I really have no words to describe how good these guys are, how consistent they are. They've got second in grand finals, just absolutely ridiculous games from there. They're probably the best low ground team at the moment in the world. They had such an insane tournament run. They only had one first place this season in a Cash Cup, second place in Grand, second place in Heats, so many other really insane placements, second in the Cypher PK Cup as well. Loads of insane things from them, and they were probably the most dominant trio and also one of the most fun trios to watch in the world. Now our next full team that I'm going to be heading grouping together is Thomas HD, Anas and Flick, coming in our 7th, 8th and 9th slot. These guys are probably the most dominant teams in the EU. Their Heats performance, where they got like 200 plus points, was absolutely ridiculous. The way they were just dominating a really stacked Heats game was so entertaining to watch through replays, and also just them turning on the stream at the end was really entertaining as well. They got second place in grand finals in a really close game that kind of came down to the very last game, so so many teams competing for it, and also just had a really good run of tournaments in the Cash Cups as well this season. Now our last team that I'm going to be going ahead and actually grouping up all together is Jack, Acorn and Slacks. These guys are pretty much well-rounded solid trios that I can think of on NA East. They got first place in grand finals in probably the most close Fortnite tournament we've had yet in terms of points, and they clutched up last game to bring it home. They got second in the Epic World Cup, second in another Cash Cup on NA East. Then they got first in their respective heat, which is actually probably the most hard heats that NA East has actually had this last season. They also got first place in another Cash Cup, first place in the Cypher PK Cup, as well as just a load of other string of tourney results in Cash Cups this season as well. Now in third place, I have to go with Janus. Keep in mind this is only based on this year's tournament results alone, so despite the fact that Janus won an FNCS last year for solos, which is obviously an insane achievement, I'm not really factoring that in here. Just based on this season, Janus had an absolutely insane performance with Hen and Chapix in the grand final. He actually took a massive risk going ahead and leaving his trio of Andalix and Exuis, who he was really well established with, and they actually did really well in the FNCSs previously. They also won the Encore. He went ahead and took a massive risk with Hen and Chapix in trying out with them when they weren't doing too well. They were only really placing a duo DreamHacks, and he actually went ahead and paid off massively, taking his first place. There's such a good game plan from Surge, from Craggy, which a lot of other teams struggled with, and they also went ahead and just played so well on the day individually. Janus had some really clutch games during heats, as well as loads of other good performances in all the Cash Cups this season. I'm pretty sure he won like 3 or so Cash Cups so far this season as well. Now in second place has to go towards Chapix. This is one of those players that I've always kind of had a high opinion of. I've always thought they're kind of a top 20 player on EU, but they never really had a massive breakout performance in terms of an FNCS grand placement or a load of Cash Cup string together placements that did really well in. This season, Chapix had both. He had the Grand Finals first place, where he played a really crucial role in terms of being that support player. He also had a load of other placements in terms of 2 Cash Cup wins, loads of placements in terms of other Cash Cup placements they did really well in. He also had the 2 DreamHacks of Hen, where he got 4th, and he also went ahead and placed 13th in the other one, as well as solo Cash Cup placements. He got 9th in one of them and 4th in the other on EU. And I'm pretty sure the one he got 4th in on EU, he was playing on high ping as well, which makes it even more difficult. Chapix is one of those players that's always kind of been middling around that kind of middle of the pack in terms of pros in EU. And this season he just found a trio that clicked. He played the game in extreme amount. He also found his inner piece with Uguay, and he's went ahead and performed so well this season so far. Now in first place, you guys should have already figured this out by now, but it has to go to Hen with his trio of Janus and Chapix that we've already talked about. Obviously an insane grand finals placement where he was IGLing where they got first place, but also in terms of other placements that separate him from his teammates, loads of solo Cash Cup placements, 11th, 12th, 21st as well. And then the one thing that really breaks him apart compared to all the other players that I've mentioned on this list, he literally won an entire solo Cash Cup on another region, playing on NA East. Obviously some of the players were playing FNCS, but that still doesn't take away how impressive an achievement that is. Absolutely ridiculous stuff from Hen, really good signing by Guild, and should play that I think is going to continue to have a good year. Last year I think they finished around the top 5 list overall in terms of PR, and they could easily break into the 100k region based on the fact they're on 25k in only 3 months this year.